Hare Krishna. Can you hear me? Yeah, just give me a little bit of volume. A very good evening and thank you very much, Anurag Bhai, for inviting me for yet another event of yours. I don't know how many events you organize in a year. You will make the Guinness Book of World Records for organizing maximum events in a year. I'll just take 15 minutes to explain to you a very important dimension of fitness. A lot has been talked about with respect to nutrition, physique, habits, this and that, and so many other things you must have covered in the day. I'll just add one dimension which may or may not have been covered in the day, and that is, can spirituality add fitness in your life? What's the relationship between spirituality and fitness? How does it work? Between 1990 to 2020, in those years, almost 76 million Indians emigrated out of Bharat. Today there are almost 36 million Indians outside of India, NRIs and people of Indian origin. Now, just in one country, USA alone, we have almost 22 of the top Fortune 500 companies led by Indian CEOs who employ 2.7 million people, have a net revenue of $1 trillion plus. At least 72 of the more than 750 startups which became unicorns in America, led by Indians. At least 50% of the motels and hotels in America are led by Indians. This shows that as India is marching towards becoming the third largest economy on the planet, we have a country and citizens of this country who have prioritized economic development, and especially the credit for this goes to those who were born in the 60s and the 70s. The generation of Indians born in the 1960s and 70s, they made a marked shift in the overall priorities and narratives in life. Vedic Sanatan Dharma was always based on 4 pillars: Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. In the 60s and 70s, because of the need, because of the economic requirement and the overall push from the families, the whole focus shifted towards Artha. When Artha comes, then there is Kama, or facility for enjoyment. So in this race, prioritization of economy over purpose, we have definitely achieved and accomplished what we ran after: money. There is no doubt about that. And that's why Indians are so accomplished, not only in India but across the world. The overall numbers which the government shares is a testimony of how we have developed economically. But the point is, in spite of all of that economic development, there is a pinprick somewhere. And we are seeing that today, out of the 230 million people who are addicted to social media globally, 70 million are in India, and 70% of that 70 million is the youth addicted to social media. 9 in 100,000 globally are committing suicide In India, almost 450 suicides are happening every single day. Mental health crisis, which is spreading like a pandemic, it is costing the world almost $1 trillion every single year. So we can understand that although the economy is growing, but are individuals happier than before? Are families more cohesive and harmonious than before? Are people able to spend time in the present appreciating the reality around them? Or are they too obsessed only with virtual reality? And therefore, dear friends, I graduated from IIT Mumbai in 1993, as Anurag Bhai very well knows. 89 to 93, I did BTech from IIT Mumbai, Metallurgical Engineering. One of my batchmates who did IIT Kharagpur, 89-93, Metallurgical Engineering, is known as Sundar Pichai. So we are both same batch. We didn't meet when we were in IIT. But when I met him 5 years ago at the Ambani wedding, and someone introduced, hey, you both are from the same batch. So the first comment he made was, hey, you look younger than me. And I said, naturally, because you give people Google, I give people God. And so, my switch came when I was in IIT and one of my friends tried to commit suicide. And that attempt to commit suicide, should I try this one? Can you give me this one? Yeah. That attempt was actually so shocking for me because this friend of mine was very accomplished academically. So when we asked him, why did you try to commit suicide? His answer was even more shocking. He said, every exam I get the gold medal, in this exam I got the silver medal. I could not handle it. That means I come number 1. If I came number 2, my mind cannot handle. In the same exam, 4 or 5 of my other friends failed in 3-4 subjects. And they were moving around the campus peacefully, blissfully, as if nothing happened, blessing others also. हम होंगे कामयाब एक दिन. Relax, chill out. And I looked at them and said, अरे तुम लोग तो बड़े बेशरम हो. 4 सब्जेक्ट में फेल हो गए, फिर भी आराम से घूम रहे हो. आपकी फिलॉसफी क्या है? And their reply was, अपना फिलॉसफी सिंपल है, कॉलेज में घुसना अपना काम है, निकालना कॉलेज का काम है. So then I started searching for what is a secret to real happiness and harmony. And then I came across the Bhagavad Gita. And the Bhagavad Gita revealed the secret of what exactly spirituality does. Because each one of you are professionals. Through your profession, through your trade, through your expertise, you are providing a solution to a problem the world is facing. And you are being paid for that, you are being recognized for that, you are being appreciated for that, you are being promoted for a solution you are providing to the world. The question arises, what kind of solution spirituality is providing to the world? Is it providing solution or is it creating more problems? And therefore, if it is providing solution, what kind of solution is it providing which is relevant for me and my family, in my daily life, in my professional life? So that's a question. I was distributing the Bhagavad Gita in the local train, And I showed it to somebody and he looked at me and he said, Swamiji, Gita free mein hai na? I said, क्यों free में भैया? 70 रुपए की गीता है. He said, Swamiji, Krishna spoke Gita to Arjuna free. Why you are charging 70 rupees? I said, Krishna spoke to Arjuna in Kurukshetra. This is Mumbai. 70 रुपए transport charge है. So therefore, dear friends, unless you understand what is the solution which a particular field is providing, why will you even take interest in that? So therefore, there has been a disconnect in the generation starting from the 60s and 70s and the way the education system was curated, that the whole focus came on artha, make money, and kama, enjoy life with the money which you make. That out of the entire gamut of activities, 2 items were eliminated from Indians' lives: dharma and moksha, in the true sense. What remained was only a shadow of what it is supposed to be. It became only extant for social reasons, cosmetic reasons. And therefore, I stand before you trying to explain to you how spirituality can impact your life for the positive. So, the greatest cause of anxiety all of us face is one word, that is called change. Change is the cause of all anxiety. Whatever nutrition you take, whatever exercise you do, how many pull-ups you do, how many kilometers you run, this, that is all fine. But you cannot be fitter than Arjuna. Because Arjuna was the supreme-most archer who never lost a battle, athlete par excellence. Therefore, the government of India also calls the Sports Excellence Awards Arjuna Awards. So you cannot beat Arjuna in fitness. And he had such mental control that he could look at the eye of the fish in the reflection and still pierce. How much control he had over his hands. So Arjuna was fitness personified, but on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he became nervous breakdown personified. And only one thing happened. Arjuna came prepared to fight the battle, and Krishna brought the chariot in front of Bhishma and Drona and just told Arjuna, look, who's come to fight today? Bhishma, Drona. So you and me hear this, it doesn't create any emotion. But for Arjuna, what did that scene represent? A massive change. A change in his identity. So therefore, many of you must have heard many things today. But the greatest cause, the tsunami effect on your mind, on your psyche, on your emotions happens when there is change in your identity. And each one of you have only 8 identities. First, with respect to your body. I look young, I'm healthy, I'm strong, I'm this, I'm that. And that identity is so powerful. The cosmetic industry, the insurance industry, the medical industry, the top 3 money-making industries, which is preying on these 3 identities. You enter into a doctor's cabin fully confident and you come out nervous. Why? The doctor has said, tumor dikh raha hai. What does that one word, tumor, do to you? It has shifted your identity from being Mr. Fit to, oh, there is a difference. Second identity is with respect to your husband or wife or a partner. When the relationship ruptures or some change happens, it affects you. You may admit it or not admit it, share it or not share it. You may have someone to share or not, that's a different thing, but it affects. Third, your identity with respect to your kids. Their education, their growth, their choice, their choices, their partners, their habits, it affects you. Fourth is identity with respect to your house. Fifth is identity with respect to your car and your vehicle. Sixth is identity with respect to money, net worth. Why do people commit suicides? Cafe coffee day. Why? Identity says, I am businessman, I make money, but balance sheet is showing you are bankrupt. So there is a gap between your identity and the reality. And people can't deal with it. And then the seventh is identity with respect to your social acceptance or rejection. Comparing, complaining, criticizing, the three cancers of the mind. People nowadays are more obsessed with what others are thinking of them rather than focusing on what they can contribute. Comparison has kidnapped contribution. And therefore, very important principle to understand that when we are trying to do what we are trying to do, we really forget what we can actually contribute. There was somebody who was teaching people how to give keynote speak. So he came up and he said, when you begin your speech, you should begin with something dramatic. And that dramatic effect should be such that people don't forget it for the rest of their lives. And he said, you can begin your speech with something like, the best years of my life were spent in the arms of a woman who was not my wife. And the audience was bewildered. What is he saying? And the trainer said, that lady is my mother. And the audience loved it. So one guy from the audience goes to his village, calls the entire village and says, I have become a public speaker. So the whole village came up to see, ये कैसे speaker बन गया भैया? तो पागल लगता था. So this guy stands up on the stage. There is an audience in front of him. He's nervous. And he thought, let me begin with that formula, the secret formula, dramatic. So he stood up, nervous, shaking, but he said, the best years of my life were spent in the arms of a woman who was not my wife. And he was so nervous, he forgot the next line. And he was trying to remember what was that punchline, what was that punchline. And then he said, I can't remember who she was. So I was giving a talk in America, and in front of me was an American boy talking to me in Hindi. I looked at him and said, you look American, you speak Hindi, how come? And he said, I grew up in a multimillionaire family. But when I was 17 years old, I told my dad, you gave me everything in life except the experience of a family because you were divorced when I was 2 years old. Today, Luxembourg has a divorce rate of 88%. Spain has a divorce rate of 65%. France has a divorce rate of 55%. Russia has a divorce rate of 51%. America has a divorce rate of 46%. The global divorce rate is 44%. India still has the lowest divorce rate at 1% only. So his dad said, go to Bharat. He comes to Varanasi, sees somewhere, paying guest allowed. He goes to that family and says, allow me to be in your family just for 2 years to experience what is family, exchanges of family, living together, staying together, eating together. Just for 2 years, if you allow me to live as a paying guest, every month I will give 1 lakh rupee rent. That family said, why 2 years? Stay whole life.
And they said, if your other friends also who want to experience, we will open one more room. Today, Goldman Sachs came with a report that between 2015 to 2025, the infrastructure investment required in India would be $1.4 trillion, out of which $800 billion would come from family savings. We fail to recognize the biggest contributor to the economy is the housewife. If there is no family feeling, there will be no family savings. And therefore, if we are chasing behind the American dream, 44% of children in America are born outside of marriage. Is that the future we want? And therefore, we should realize that when these identities change, it causes anxiety. And therefore, we need a ninth identity, social, and the last is career, influence. These are the 8. They are constantly changing from the moment you get up in the morning till night. Therefore, everybody says, Subah utھ ke prarthana kijiye, puja kijiye. What does it mean? You begin the day with a ninth identity of being a soul who is connected to the Supreme Soul. And that's what I appreciate about Prime Minister Modi, that for the first time, I see a Prime Minister of Bharat unabashedly holding his spirituality on the sleeve and demonstrating what it means to be spiritual. When you begin the day like that, you are committing that I am eternal, Sanatan Atma, Ishwar, Sanatan, eternal. हम दोनों के बीच सेवा का संबंध सनातन. That is the Sanatan Dharma or the duty. Because the duty with respect to your body, with respect to your husband and wife, with respect to your kids, with respect to money, with respect to career, with respect to social obligations, they are all duties. But they are constantly fluctuating, potentially changing duties which will cause you anxiety. Therefore, if you have an anchor where you know it will never change, that eternal identity, Sanatan Dharma, anchors you, gives you what is real self-confidence. And that is what is called in the Bhagavad Gita as Sthita Pragya. Sthita Pragyasya ka bhasha samadhistasya keshava sthitadhikim pramasheta kimaseta prajatakam. That Sthita Pragya is what is known in English as equanimity. When COVID happened, you were all worried. I should not go out without sufficient immunity. Prayer is the immunity against the virus of change. Prayer is the immunity against the virus of change. So I tell people, I am a consultant for 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. When to sleep, when to get up, how to pray, how to begin the day, creating a shield, a kavach for your mind against the onslaughts which you are going to experience in the day. बारिश होने वाली है और बिना छतरी के निकल जाओ, भीग गए, आप क्या बारिश को गाली दोगे? मेटेरोलॉजिकल डिपार्टमेंट को गाली दोगे? आपने तैयारी नहीं की. You know that change is going to happen. How are you preparing yourself? So thank you very much, my dear friend Anurag ji, for welcoming me. And thanks to each one of you for taking fitness so seriously. That's what I've come here to add, the spiritual dimension to fitness. Thank you very much.